Hello, everyone. I know this is a different form of content than what I'm used to making, i.e., the war videos as well as compilations that I put out. But recently, Kabam has announced that Alliance Quest raids are going to go into effect on January 15th. And they provided us this forum post, and while this forum post is great with the resource it has provided, it's a lot of information to go through. And with all this information, I know if I find some parts overwhelming, a lot of other people will as well. And so what I decided to do was create a little bit of a presentation. Now, I'm not going to go through all the different parts of this presentation, mostly because it would just be a lot to go through and it would be very overwhelming. And so what I decided to do is these first 3 points, just introducing the idea behind making this video, as well as introducing a little bit of the cost and new features associated with the raids, is what I'm going to go through and really aim to present to you all in this video, and then in the subsequent videos or just videos after this one. I'll talk more about the roles, how you synergize with different alliance mates, and how you all work together against the raid bosses based upon the information that Kabam has released to us in their stream over today, as well as different forum posts answering select questions. And so, like I said earlier, raids will go into effect January 15th. Now, the important thing about this date is it comes right after or around the date that Alliance War season ends. So this is going to force some alliances to either do both, focus on Alliance War and Alliance Quest, or do either or, focus on AQ, Prestige, all that fun stuff, or focus their resources mainly toward the war season. So I think that's a very interesting, really perspective as well as choice that some alliances need to face. And so when it comes to that ability to face from alliances, we approach the cost. And so considering the cost, you actually earn tickets a couple of different ways when it comes to raids. You can either earn tickets from map 6, map 7, or map 8 from simply exploring the map. You get a certain number of tickets each week, but I'll go into that later. But essentially, if you have 30 members in your alliance, you would need from each member to pay 180 raid tickets to participate in the raid. Now, this is the most important part. Raids, as well as AQ, are going to be following a 4-week cycle. The first week, you do your regular map. If you run map 8, you do map 8 for week 1, week 2, and week 3. However, in week 4, you have the option to opt into a raid week. So you're only using these raid tickets on that 4th week. Now, during that 4th week, you'll see an option where you have to choose to raid. Not all battle groups have to do the raid. You can choose for maybe 2 out of 3 to do it, or maybe 1, or maybe you're pushing Alliance Quest and you want all 3. You would opt in with this raid button here on the enlistment screen, and it shows you how much it costs for each member, as well as the total rewards you get from exploration. Now, luckily for us, the Kabam Overlords have allowed us for the first event to enter for free. Thank goodness. But every raid event after, you would have to pay a fee. But since AQ maps outside the raids are free of charge, i.e., the tickets, you earn raid tickets for completing each map. So, for the first week, you would get 30 tickets or raid tickets if I do map 8, 28 for map 7, then another 24 for map 6. So again, you earn these individually and you have to pay them individually as well. So each member must provide 180 raid tickets with either the ones they provide here on top of the raid tickets purchased through incursion artifacts, glory, loyalty, or even units. So you have a couple of different avenues. As long as you play the game, it'll be free, at least for the most part. You can choose to use units if you so desire to do so. Now, here is my other point that I made earlier. What you see on the screen now is you can earn Alliance raid tickets from doing map 8, map 7, as well as map 6. Of course, the amount of tickets you get depends on the map, but you can earn these Alliance raid tickets. That way, when you complete AQ for weeks 1, 2, and 3, on the 4th week, you redeem those tickets to opt into a raid week and decide if your alliance wants to compete in them or not. In the next videos that I do, I'll show you the difference between competing in a raid week versus not competing in a raid week, because the difference, there is a difference, I don't want to lie, but the difference isn't so vast as to you'll feel like you're missing out. This is mainly an extra challenge to mostly endgame players, but also people that understand nodes as well as maximize teamwork within Alliance Quest. And so, when it concerns my last point for the cost, during the raid event, not just the first one, which is coming up soon, but also the raid events after, there will be given out free 100% single revives. Please be sure to keep updated with Kabam's posts as well as sort of like this channel as well, to show you as well as keep up to date as to if there's any change to this announcement, because this is actually great news when it comes to resource management, at least when it concerns raids as well as taking on different mini bosses, and I will talk more about that in my later videos. And so the last point I want to get through, at least when it concerns this video, is the new features.
Now, this part of the video, if you were just running the raid and you're not an officer or a leader, this information is still helpful, but at the same time, for those people that are officers and leaders, this is the point, as well as points of contention, that need to be taken into account. And so, right here, when it comes to raid events, again, they're going to happen on the 4th week of Alliance Quest. I want you all to think of Alliance Quest as a 4-week cycle. Sort of like a war, except for AQ, first 3 weeks, regular map, 4th week, you have the option to enlist in the raid. And that goes into my second point. You must enlist for a raid week the week prior. So on the 3rd week of AQ, enlist for raids during the 4th week. And keep in mind, you must enlist for raids in order to do it the week before. And lastly, when I state we within at least this presentation, it's mainly coming from Kabam's perspective and not my own. My job right now is to just help you understand the difference between running a raid week versus not. In Kabam, they have done an increase in rewards, but it's not so much as you feel like you're missing out. I'll show you a little bit of how the rewards stack up versus not running a raid week versus running the raid week as well. This is a very interesting part. When it concerns a regular AQ map schedule, you have 1 day to really explore that map, right? But when you go into the raid week, you have 1 map, but you have 1 week instead of a day to explore it. It does not reset, and the amount of time you have is allocated to that 1 week. So keep this in mind when it concerns working with individual groups within your battle group to coordinate as well as explore the entire map, because the treasure rewards, which I will get into, are very juicy. Now, how to enlist in a raid week? It's going to be the same for most alliances. Most information you see on the screen is just stuff that I said before. So moving forward, just to show you how it looks visually, here is where you opt in to the raid week. no matter what day you do AQ and what schedule you're working with. You just click on this button, and then from there be able to opt in to the correct map and where you want to raid. And so once you've enlisted, you can tap on the info page to preview your enlistment, and then during the raid week, you can enlist for the raid map, or you can choose to opt in to the regular maps as normal. And so this is how it should look. Again, if you want to break it up by battle group, you can. And if you want to literally just do full send, do all raids for all battle groups, great. This is one tip I did want to introduce to most battle groups, is that if you enlist for a raid week, the new week whenever it begins, you'll be automatically enlisted for it. So keep that in mind. When the event switches back over, it'll automatically resume. So once you do it, it's going to be automatic. So again, if you listen to the raid week on the next week's section, whenever it happens, you're automatically going to be opted in, as long as you opt in to the raid week the week prior. And so when you opt into a raid week, this is how it should look. And then from that point, you'll be able to save the enlistment and then go about it with your other alliance members throughout, sort of giving them the correct information, specifically when it concerns if they are doing a raid week or if they're just running a normal map as usual. And the new UI when it comes to the raid week, as well as sort of like getting used to the roles, is very user friendly, just based on Kabam streams, as well as information provided. And specific to that, of what I want to segue for the next video is talk mainly about roles. So I'll end it here. You have 3 different roles going in to the raid week. And so you'll have 9 members in your BG and have 1 person be backup. The 9 members, you'll have 3 tacticians, 3 vanguards, and 3 assault players. I'll go into the strategy behind that later, but this video is mainly for allocating the cost, an introduction to raids and what it's about, and how to enlist. And that's all I have for this video. Please keep your eye on this channel as well as the Kabam forums. That way you will have an idea of what raids are going to be like, as well as understanding how to explore them in the most efficient manner possible.